Guys, welcome back to another episode of SoCal Watch Reviews. I'm Miguel. This is episode 18. We got P on the other line. P, how's it going?
Yo, what's going on, good folks? Your boy P. Ross back in the building.
Beautiful day, beautiful day. So, P, we got a big announcement.
Yeah,
we've had a guest on the show multiple times, and we decided. What did we decide, P? Tell the good people.
Yo, you know what? We decided that this guy, you know what I'm saying, he's so super fly, so super fresh, you know what I mean, to make him an official member of the podcast, you know what I mean? You know, if you haven't checked him out, it's my man Fred from Shaluso. Hit him on Instagram, hit him on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? One of the freshest dudes in the watch game, yo. You understand?
Yo, thank you for that intro, man. And thank you both of you guys for inviting me to be an official part of the show. Obviously, it's been fun being a guest from time to time, but it's nice to finally make it official. So thank you both of you guys.
Yeah. Well, we get along so great, which is kind of hard to find, in any part of your life, right? So whether it be your job or outside of your job or whatever, but to be able to find this kind of, I don't even know how to call it, but the way that we get along, even off the podcast, is so great that we're like, you know what, it's a no-brainer. And I know a lot of other podcasts only have 2 guests, and we're like, you know what? Let's be different. I mean, we're already different in a lot of ways. So just keep pushing the envelope. So yeah, Fred will be with us on a regular basis. And we wanted to also bring him along because unlike P and myself, he focuses a lot more on the luxury end of like the spectrum, which is what he is really interested in and is what we really needed. We needed something fresh as well. So, but speaking of luxury, let me start off by asking: did you guys check out the new Omega Constellation? Let me backtrack. Wrist check. What do you guys wearing?
Go ahead, Fred.
So I have my Cartier Pasha back on, and I'm hopefully starting to finalizing getting that custom strap made for it.
Oh, nice.
So hopefully in I think it's supposed to take 3-4 weeks for them to make it.
Cool.
But hopefully I'll have that on soon so I can at least switch it up. But for now, Cartier Pasha seat timer on a bracelet, stainless steel.
So what was that process like? You went over there, they took some measurements, or what was the deal?
No. It's so this guy, he's based down in I think he's based down in Bangalore, which is another big city in India. And pretty much I just had to send him pictures of the case. I had to take the bracelet off. I have on my spring bar tool, it's got a ruler on it. So I sent a bunch of reference pictures so he can get an idea of the dimension. Pretty much sent all that down. So now he has to just finalize a quote for me and finalize how long it's going to take. I already picked out the leather. So it's going to be Saffiano leather, which is the same sort of texture of leather that Prada uses. And then I have a contrasting white stitching. And the strap itself is going to be black. I was going to get it in blue, but I'm a bit OCD about matching. If I'm wearing a black leather belt, I want a black leather strap, and I don't own a blue belt or blue sneakers or blue shoes for that matter. So I was like, all right, I'll go with what I can match for now. But yeah, depending on how that turns out, and then hopefully in the future I'll get a few more made in a few different colors and sort of be a bit more outgoing with that. But I'm excited for the black leather with the contrast stitching.
That's cool. Yeah, that sounds hot. If you don't mind sharing, how much you pay for something like that? Because it sounds like. Go ahead.
When he originally quoted me, he's giving me the final quote now in the next few days, but let me just look at my old messages. I think it was something 70, equivalent of 70 US.
Oh, that ain't bad.
Yeah, which isn't bad for something that's full custom.
Shit.
And the thing is that because of the hinge lugs on the Pasha, it's I either have to go custom, I can get something really, really super cheap off fucking AliExpress.
Right.
Or I have to go OEM, which will probably cost me a few $100. Maybe $200, $300, $400 if I buy an OEM one from Cartier. So it's I figured I'll get the middle ground and go for something custom, see how it turns out.
Yep, sounds good. P, I'm assuming you're wearing your new piece.
Yeah, the Hamilton khaki, man.
Congrats. Beautiful piece.
Congrats on the buy, man.
Yeah, man, and I got a couple strap changes going on, so y'all will see them today on Instagram. So
nice.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Can't
Yeah,
wait.
man.
It's the manual wine.
Yeah, the manual wine.
Cool. Yeah, if you haven't
Yes,
seen
sir.
it, P made an unboxing. It's on his YouTube channel. It's really cool, and it came with a
Mm.
little bit of swag. So that's pretty cool.
And I think they actually gave me that bottle
By
because
mistake.
no, I left my water bottle in there. Like I have a big green like water thing I carry around, and it's kind of beat up and it ain't as flat. So I left it in there by accident, and when I went back to go get it, they said, "Oh, we have this water bottle for you too." I guess they said, "Look, he need a new water bottle." You know what I'm saying? This thing he got is towed the hell up.
We feel bad for this
So,
guy.
right. So they gave me the water bottle. It was fresh. It was fly. You know what I mean? But yeah, but I'm loving it right now. You know what I mean? Amazing, amazing stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Sounds good. I love that watch. I'm wearing the old what is it? What is it that I'm wearing? Sorry, for everybody listening. I woke up kind of sick today, so I don't even know what I'm talking about. So I'll let P and Fred do a lot of the talking. But what I'm wearing today is obviously the Lunar Pilot. I had to throw it back on the wrist.
Yeah.
So I have a review of this watch on my channel. It's such a cool watch. I mean, it's a little big, of course, below the. Could have brought it down a little bit, but what I do like, I threw it on this Mora NATO strap, and it's so cool. I actually have a review of Mora straps on my website. Not website, I mean YouTube. They actually sent over 4 straps for free to review, which is really cool because obviously my channel has only 300 and something subscribers, and typically people with that many subscribers, they don't even pay attention to you. But this guy, Ben, super cool guy. He's in what is it, Kentucky? P? I
Yeah,
think he's in Kentucky.
Louisville,
Yeah,
Kentucky.
Louisville, Kentucky. So the quality of this thing is crazy. It's I know a lot of people throw around the term like seatbelt NATO. Well, this thing is a completely different material. It's very similar. It looks very similar, but it's really cool. And one of the really cool things I like about it is the hardware. And so it's completely made out of 316L stainless steel, and it's the whole thing is actually solid. So it doesn't have any openings. It doesn't have a spring bar. It's like a solid piece. So yeah, I have it on that, and I love it. I think it looks really cool. So
Yeah, that's what's
if you
up.
get a chance, check them out. I think they're like $16 right now. They're on special. Typically they're like 38. So yeah, and he has some new stuff coming out. So really excited about that. But like I was saying, I want to talk about the Omega Constellation. Did you guys check it out? It's the Gems
Yes,
Yeah,
collection.
yes.
What's your opinions on that?
I think it's cool.
Yeah, I love it. You know what I mean? I think Fred had tagged us in it on Instagram when I saw it. I said,
Right.
Yeah,
damn, like
I think it's sick. And like, if you think about it, with all the craze about stainless steel sports watches with integrated bracelets, it's like Omega has been doing this one for a
For a long
long
time.
time, and it flies under the
right.
radar for a lot of people. Like, if you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking of getting in on that sort of action, an Omega Constellation is an easy way to get in on that without having to pay fucking crazy Nautilus money and pay double retail, you know?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
And the
start off at
movements
like
on them
what,
are crazy.
6,000?
Yeah, and the movements on them are crazy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Metas certified,
Mm-hmm.
fucking anti-magnetic. I think this is the 8800, so I don't think it has the jumping hours. I think that's the 8900 if I'm not mistaken. But still really nicely decorated, and solid movements, 5-year warranties. Like, it's a cool facelift. Like, I like, at the end of the day, the biggest difference is, I think, sort of the look of it. They just modernized it a little bit. But I think they did a really, really good job. The rose gold one looks really cool as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So would you say Omega, as far as the sports watch go, that they do it best at this point?
oh,
I think AP
I,
does
I
it
think
best.
I'd say value for your money. Omega definitely probably does it best. Whether they
Okay.
do it best in general, yeah. I mean, like, AP created the segment, so you always got to sort of pay deference to that. But there's so many players in it. There's so many options
Yeah.
that, like, I think the only good thing that comes of like all the crazy premiums that come for like standard Royal Oaks and Steel Nautilus is, I think the only good thing that comes of that is that it pushes people to explore some of these other options, and there's so many cool other options out there.
Right, right.
You know the
Okay.
crazy thing is about people that every time they talk about Omega, it's always a Speedmaster, right? Because this thing, honestly, it kind of flew under the radar. Nobody's talking about it. I don't see people posting about this on Instagram, which
But I
is
tell you what, the
crazy.
Constellation range is apparently really big
26
in
models, yeah.
Asia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. Apparently, this is like their hot model in Asia.
Mm.
Huh.
Yeah, I was actually looking at a vintage Constellation a couple
The
months ago.
the pipe hand
So,
or which
you
one?
know, I can't remember which one it was, but it was going for like $400-500 on eBay.
Yeah. So
Oh
crazy,
yeah,
right? I mean,
they depreciate
Yeah,
terribly, which again
yeah.
like just makes them even better value for money. Like
yeah.
at retail, they're already well priced, but then when you factor in depreciation, it's like you can get one for a steal.
Mm-hmm.
The one
Yeah.
thing I've never liked about the Constellation model, like this specific one, is those cloths on the bezel.
That's the entire point.
I don't like it. That's the thing that throws me off. But everything else is gorgeous on this watch. I mean,
Mm.
the new dials, everything. I mean, just some of these models are just crazy. And that movement, and for that money, I mean, you're getting a pretty nice watch. I mean, talk
Does it
about
come on a
value.
leather strap too?
It does.
Yeah, yeah, you can get
What
on leather
what y'all think
straps.
about that? The leather versus the steel.
I go with the steel.
Um, I think it looks cool on the leather. I think a lot of it depends on how you want to wear it. I mean, it's a watch that it can easily pass as a dress watch, especially as far as Omegas go. It's not that thick because some of them get super super chunky. But I just really like the way that they've re-engineered that bracelet and given it it's got like these sort of polished parts right in between the links.
Hmm.
It's a really subtle touch, but I think it really really works well. But on a leather strap, I think if you wanted to wear it more dressy, it'd still be really good.
Yeah. And it's coming in at what, 39 millimeters?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay,
39
cool.
mil.
Yeah. And earlier models were what, 38, I think?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Like they don't make them too big because also a lot of those integrated bracelet watches they wear a lot bigger than their diameter does. You know, like you
Right.
wear a low, like the sizing is I think
Right.
41 mil, but like it wears like a 42, which doesn't sound like much, but it wears bigger than what you think it would be. You know.
Yeah. And then the water resistance is just 50
Oh,
millimeters.
Oh yeah, 50 meters. Yeah, it's fucking
Yeah.
terrible. Though I
yeah.
think
Yeah.
on this one it's also 50, which is a bit
Right.
disappointing.
Well, previous models I was reading it was 100, so they went from 100 to 30, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Mm.
I mean I guess cost cutting, you gotta cut costs somewhere to give you good value.
Yeah, I think I don't know if you guys saw the display case back. I always think that's a nice touch on any watch, especially when you have movement of this caliber. I mean, it's super super cool.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
and especially because it's an in-house movement as well. Like, I always feel some type of way when they do open case backs on like just the standard ETA that maybe has like a custom rotor. But like when it's in-house, when it's such a good movement, it's like why not? And I like the sort of spiral design that they do on it.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
cool. And I mean the bracelet alone, the 316L steel bracelet, super cool. It has a 2 millimeter release adjustment, which is really cool. They call it what, a 3-piece decor with polished and beveled edges. So it looks very nice, very sleek.
Yeah, no, it's
Mm-hmm.
really nice.
Yeah, it's a nice watch, man.
Yeah, for sure. With a
Kind of
55-hour power reserve.
kind of weird
Yeah.
people are not talking about this. I don't know, but again, and that's the problem, that Omega releases so much crap that people get lost. They're like, and of course, right now the big monster for them is that 321, right? So that's just kind of
Yeah,
overtaking
Right.
everything. So, but well, speaking of a very nice watch, right? So let's go from this to something that's a little polarizing. I personally don't like. And I don't know how you guys feel about it. Is the new H Moser watch, that Streamliner? How do you guys feel about that guy?
I
Uh,
think it's cool. I think it's cool.
I,
All right, well, let's
uh,
talk about it. What's cool about it, or what is it that you guys don't like about it?
Pete, you go first with the
I, I,
opening
I,
arguments
I,
against it.
I, I don't like the bracelet per se. You know what I mean? It looked like, it definitely to me looks vintage, but I can't stand the bracelet. I'm looking at it now. I don't like the way the function pushers are placed on the watch. Love the way the dial looked though.
Hmm.
I think that what would that be, like charcoal, grayish black or whatever?
Yeah, it's got like a
Um,
nice gradient to it.
yeah, I think that's pretty dope. But overall, this thing, I don't like the way the one function pushes at the 4 o'clock. It don't sit well with me for some reason. And the shape of the case is just kind of weird. I don't know what it really reminds me of, but
looks like a Demogorgon from Stranger Things. This thing is ugly, man. I don't know.
Yeah, but like
I think it's
overall, the dialer I think is pretty dope. It's pretty dope. And
yeah. I mean, like
I'm
H
sorry.
Moser always comes correct with their dials because
Yeah,
like some of their Fume dials are just amazing. So they always have these nice gradients. So it's like they kind of had to do that. But I like it just because it's different. You know, at the end of the day, there's so many like steel sports watches, titanium sports watches. Like they're getting in on this again, that sort of Royal Oak Nautilus craze. They're all so derivative. This is at least a breath of fresh air because it's something different. Um, and like I like how retro it looks. This looks like they like locked someone from the 70s, like
right.
locked them in an office for like 50 years, and then said, "All right, it's 2020, make a watch." And like this
Right.
is what they thought that a 2020 watch would look like, you know. But I do have to agree with you. I don't like that crown at the 4 o'clock. I think it just throws off the symmetry. But I do like from an engineering standpoint, like that movement is insane. They've got the rotor like in between the dial and the movement, so it looks like a manual wind from the back, but it's still automatic. And that they managed to do all the chronograph functions are all through the center. And like even just looking at it, it just looks like what you think a stopwatch would be, like those like stopwatches that you would hold, you know?
Right.
So I think it's cool. I don't think I would really buy one. I don't think it's really my style, but I think it's cool. And like I'm always all for like when they try something different, something new instead of doing something else that's like derivative.
Yeah, and then again, like Miguel said, like case back is always an extra. I mean that movement is dope. It
Yeah,
looks
that's a
awesome.
movement worth looking at.
Uh-huh.
Well, one thing, the very first time I saw this watch, and I'm like, oh crap, the dial, the little racing straps around the inside, it reminds me of a Speedmaster, the racing edition. So I was like, all
Yeah.
right, that's kind of what that looks. But I mean, again, it's like so crazy. How can you create something different? And I agree with you, Fred. I mean, this is something different. And there's a difference between liking something and respecting something. So for me, this gets my respect for being different. It does remind me of an old Citizen Bull head watch with the pushers on top, which is cool. I like those watches. So there's some features of it that I really like, but most of it, the case design, the bracelet, I don't like it. But that doesn't mean I don't respect this watch. Now coming in at $40,000 and limited to 100 pieces, that's a little different. Now, well, crown at 4 o'clock, it always reminds me of a Seiko. That's kind of a signature SKX thing, and that's kind of what it reminds me of. But it's cool nonetheless. I know it has ceramic luminescent hands, which not a lot of people are doing, which is really cool. And like you said, that display case back, it does feature that HMC 902 movement made by Agenor or something. So check it out.
Yes.
55
So
jewels.
it's
Yeah,
one of the few times that they outsource their movement. Normally, Moser
they
does
don't,
everything
right?
in
Yeah.
house. But for something that's complicated, because also like on top of having that cool dial, sort of dial then rotor then movement configuration and having that bullhead setup is also a flyback. So
Right.
like
Mm-hmm.
I like how it brings a little bit more to the table, and it's crazy that we're not even all the way through January. We've gotten 3 like flagship chronograph models coming out already from Omega, H Moser now, and then Hublot also did one at their LVMH Watch Week. Like everyone's going crazy for chronographs, it seems.
But how do you feel about this chronograph? Because it doesn't have any subdials. So what are you going to time 60 seconds? I mean, a lot of
No,
people want to
it has
time
a
other
60
things.
minute counter as well. Like so, it has in total it has 4 hands. So you have running seconds,
Oh, okay.
chronograph
Right.
seconds. Like it all times from the middle. So I think you can time up to
Got it.
60 minutes if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Mm.
Now, size 42.3 by 14.2 thick. Whoa, that's a big boy.
Yeah, but it's a chronograph. I mean, like chronographs are always a bit thicker.
Well, unless you're talking
Like
about
I remember my Tudor was like 15.7, 15.8 or something like that.
well, unless you're talking octofinissimo, then
Yeah. That's true. That's true. That's like a few millimeters. Like,
Yeah. No, but
oh,
nonetheless, I mean, it's a cool watch. I guess we could all agree to disagree that it's cool, but
it's polarizing.
Yeah, it's
it's
cool.
yeah, right.
It's
I
cool,
mean,
but you know,
It's definitely not for everyone. But maybe that's
no,
why they limited it to 100 pieces.
at $40,000.
$40,000, right?
Yeah.
It's a
But I think that's
little.
how they can get away with that price. It's like, I have a feeling that the people who want this, they really want it. So they probably would happily part with $40,000
Right.
to pay for it.
All this thing probably sold out already. I'm
Yes,
pretty
Yeah.
I was gonna
sure.
say that. Yeah, it's sold out.
Well, you gotta think for people like us, right? Working folks, just guys that don't make millions of dollars, unless Fred is a millionaire and he hasn't told us. But you know, I was watching. I don't know if you guys got a chance to check out that Teddy Baldessar video. He had a 2-part video with Kevin O'Leary,
Yeah, I watched
and
part one. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched part one. Yeah.
okay, Fred, you watched it?
Yeah, I saw both of them.
Okay, so here's a guy that's a multi-millionaire. Probably, I don't think he's a billionaire, but multi-millionaire, and he's a watch collector, right? So they go into all these different stores. Basically, Teddy acted as like a personal watch guy for him or whatever, and took him to different places. Selected a few watches that he thinks Kevin was gonna like. So Kevin ends up buying a watch. I won't spoil it for you guys. I won't tell you what he bought, but let's just say that $20,000 he dropped that like it was nothing. To him, 20 grand wasn't a lot. And when people were like, "Oh, this is 70,000," oh, that's not bad. Oh, and this is that's not bad. And I'm thinking like, geez, man, there's people out there, a lot of people out there that have that kind of money, especially in this watch game. Like we complain about money and the Omega 321 being 14 grand. There's people out there that could drop that like so quickly.
Oh yeah.
And for them, a $1,500 watch is probably a beater watch, or a $3,000 watch is a beater watch for them. So different classes, different things for different people. So yeah, there you have it. Also, Teddy, I know his latest video, he had Monta on there. I've heard a lot of good things about the Monta watch, that micro brand. So
Yeah, I've been
Yeah,
seeing
it's,
them pop up a lot lately too.
yeah, they're not
Yeah.
cheap. I mean, for a micro brand to be 1,600 bucks, but the level of quality and what they bring, I think it's worth the money. I never checked one out, so I don't really want to speak on them too much. But yeah, that's the thing about Monta, and I know Notice. There's some other watches, but Monta's the one that I've been hearing about a lot. And you guys want to talk about releases? LVMH. So they had their show, right? So I'll let Fred do the talking on this one because there was so much that came out.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go through them. I mean,
Oh,
as many as we can.
there were tons. I mean, obviously, LVMH, they have Bulgari, Tag Heuer, Zenith, and Hublot. So 4 big brands with huge amounts of releases. Obviously, taking advantage of the fact that, like, LVMH isn't going to Baselworld anymore, I don't think. So for them, it was like, all right, let's just host our own event. They had it in Dubai, which really sucks because I'm going to Dubai next month. And I was thinking to myself, like, fuck, I should have gone this month had I realized in time. But yeah, going through it, surprisingly, Tag Heuer only had 1 new release, celebrating 160 years of Tag Heuer. So just a Carrera special edition inspired by a 1964 Carrera 2447. So a nice, like, sort of vintage reissue. On the one hand, I'm surprised Tag Heuer didn't release more, but on the other hand, they're just coming off of the Monaco and celebrating. Like, they had all of last year. They released, I think it was 5 different editions of the Monaco, plus releasing the Monaco Heuer 02. So I'm actually kind of glad that they didn't go too ham, because they didn't do what I complained about Omega doing, which is we're just a few weeks into the new year after they spent so much time hyping like the 50th year anniversary of the Moonwatch, and they already put out another Moonwatch. So kudos to Tag Heuer for being a bit restrained. I'm guessing we'll see more from them throughout the year, though.
So how do y'all feel about that piece? Like, because I think it's beautiful.
I
I'm
think it's
looking
very
at
nice.
it now. I think it's, oh my god.
I think it's nice, but the only thing that I that I'm a little weirded about, and I know Sam from the Casual Watch Reviewer, they started their podcast back up, if you guys don't know who he is. But yeah, go check him out. He has a YouTube channel. But he was mentioning in his episode, in his podcast, that it's kind of weird that they're celebrating 160 years when really Tag only acquired Heuer not too long ago,
But
right?
In
So
'85, wasn't it?
yeah,
so to
but
be like,
celebrating the whole brand as a whole, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And like, because they did it as a Hoyer reissue, so they were true to that. And at the end of the day, the company has its roots back then. But I'm glad they didn't make too much noise, didn't do too much, because also like 160, it's a big number, but it's also a pretty arbitrary number. You know, it's not like 150, 175, 200. So I think a nice little limited edition. One thing they did do really well is they just limited it to 1,860 pieces. So again, Omega, if you're listening, that's how you do a limited edition. If you're celebrating a year, then just have that be the amount. Like, because I remember it was what 6,000 or 7,000 of that Moonwatch anniversary last year. Yeah, I think it was 6,969.
That's a lot.
Like that's not that limited anymore.
That's not limited,
It kind of
yeah.
loses itself.
That's
So yeah, I think
funny.
it was good, nice little restrained piece. Obviously, like classic vintage horror styling, and it's got the Hoyer O2 on the inside. So on the inside, it's all modern.
Is it case back?
Yeah, open case back and
Okay,
a
cool.
custom rotor for celebrating those 160 years. So yeah, I think it's a cool little thing. And like I said, I think we can probably expect more from them later in the year. I imagine they're just sort of letting the sheets cool on celebrating the Monaco, so they probably didn't want to go too all out right away. Bulgari, well, before we were talking about the Octofinissimo, obviously they had to release a few new editions of that. Main things, they now do their minute repeater in rose gold. They released a mixed. So the Octofinissimo was normally always sandblasted finish. So regardless whether it was titanium, ceramic, gold, it was always sandblasted. Now they've released mixed finish ones. So they did a full ceramic one in sandblasted and polished. And then also they did rose gold and steel ones also in mixed satin and polished finish. The cool thing about the rose gold and the steel ones, the new version, is they now have 100 meters water resistance, and they didn't have to add any thickness to it. It's still only 5.2 millimeters
That's
thick.
crazy.
So that I think is crazy.
And they're
And
12
that, in my
grand,
opinion,
which is not super bad, right?
yeah.
So.
And that, in my opinion, like that, it's like, all right, what excuse do all the other brands have now of having a sub 100 meter water resistance when this entire watch with 100 meter water resistance is thinner than some of their movements? Like that, I think is crazy. And then also for women, they released the Serpenti Tourbillon, which is the smallest tourbillon on the market. So even for their women's line, Bulgari is still sort of going for like records and, you know, smallest, thinnest, which is good. It's one way to really put themselves on the map and show that they're a watchmaker like that has to be taken seriously. You know, no one else is doing this many records in such quick succession. So good turnout from Bulgari, just evolving their current line pretty much. And I think I saw an interview on Watch Advisor where that's sort of their plan for the next few years, is just really keep strengthening the Octofinissimo line, and then maybe a few years down the line release something else for the men's collection as well.
Well, did you see that women's Bulgari, the Diva Dream minute repeater? That thing is horrible looking. Has like an earring hanging off the side or something. I don't get that.
It's a woman's watch though. You know what I mean? Like I don't. That's something my wife would probably like, but
you think she'll like that little earring hanging off the side? I mean, it's
I don't
so
know.
weird.
It's a woman's watch though, so
yeah, like that's a whole other market. And at the end of the day, if it gets more women into watches, I'm all for it.
But the rose gold Bulgari, oh my god! Like I think this thing is beautiful. Like I love like the way the second hand is like between like the on the 7 and the 8. Oh my god!
Yeah, I think when they introduced this Octofinissimo, they knew they had a hit on their hands, and it's gonna be like the AP. This is gonna be like the Royal Oak for them. I guarantee they're gonna milk the crap out of this thing for years and years and years and years to come, and they're just gonna change it to like different colors, maybe put texture on the dial, maybe I don't know, just do a bunch of different things. You agree, Fred?
Yeah, definitely. And it's a cool watch. Like, I've
It
worn it.
is.
It doesn't look good on my wrist, which really annoys me
Mm.
because it's such a cool looking watch. But it's one of those watches, like, if I had the money to do it, I would almost want to just buy it and just, like, put it on a watch stand and just look at it. It's like a piece of art. Like, they even, like, so they modeled it after, I think it was Roman architecture or something like
Mm.
that, which, like, you can tell right away. Like, it's just beautiful to look at. And
Right.
it's trippy just how thin it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like when you wear it, you're like, what the fuck is going on? How does this even work? And it's super light as well. Like, I could talk about it for the rest of the podcast. But moving on to Zenith. So they released a pair of new Pilots watches, pretty much the same as their current ones, just new color variants essentially, and with Elite and Alpamero calibers in them for the time only and chrono respectively. Then the Defy 21, two new special editions. One was the
Land Rover.
Land Rover edition, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
which is a titanium case, sort of matte gray with a few orange touches. Not my cup of tea. I really don't understand the tie-up between them very much. Like, for me, it doesn't land very well. But it's a cool looking watch and functionally the same as the normal Defy 21. And then they also did the Carl Cox edition. What I like about this one is that they have, for the running seconds, they have a little record. That I think was a cool touch.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
obviously Carl Cox is a DJ. It's their second sort of musical collaboration. They did a Swiss Beats Defy as well, which I don't know if that did very well or not. You don't really hear much about it. I think maybe Zenith needs to. I think they're trying to make their watches cooler, but I don't think a lot of their endorsements and tie-ups are landing. In
Mm.
my opinion, at least. I may be wrong. Maybe they still sell, but I think this Carl Cox one, at least it's cool because it's a little record player thing. I think
Yeah.
any musical collaboration should definitely think of including that. Like, that would have been cool if it was like a collaboration, like with maybe, it made me think of the Def Jam logo. If they had like a little Def Jam record on that, if they did type like that, I think that would
Oh
be
yeah,
cool.
that would have been hot.
Yeah, or like a
That would have
Run
been hot.
DMC edition or something.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And then they also did the Elite Classic, which is their dress watch. So they did a moon phase and just a normal standard time one. It's a nice watch. 40.5 millimeters, so on the bigger side for dress watches. But the
Is that the
dial,
rose gold?
yeah, they got the rose gold
Okay.
and they also have the steel one.
With the blue
But for that
leather
one,
strap?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And for that one, the big highlight is the dial. It's got this sort of like stamped sunray motif thing going on, and very similar to the sort of finish on the dial that you get on the Rolex Cellini. So a really nice take on making a dress watch a little bit more interesting because, let's face it, dress watches usually are by design supposed to be kind of boring and
Boring.
low key. So this is like a nice little touch just to give it some more excitement and pretty reasonably priced. I mean, the steel one with the moon phase is $6,700.
Mm.
Not
So
bad.
as far as dress watches go, it's not bad when you consider how much you pay for like a Patek Calatrava, which doesn't have a moon phase. Like, if you get just time and date, you're paying bananas money. So
But how
like,
many stones is that going around the bezel?
I'm not sure. It's a good question. Um, I have to check and see how many they do. Cause I was just looking at the men's ones and without the without the stones on them. But let's see. But yeah, it's interesting that, like, I feel Zenith, they're not too sure of what they want to be, so they're kind of putting out a little bit of everything. But I'd be curious to know, like, what ends up hitting. I mean, they've done well with the Defy collection, but I wonder if these dress watches actually sell for them or the Pilots ones as well. Let's see, Elite.
This is the year, like you said, it's the year of the chronograph, and they got the El Primero. I mean, they got that
Yeah,
over a
they
lot
did.
of other companies. So.
Yeah, they did do that. The Chronomaster 2 last year. That was really nice.
Well,
I really liked that.
I'm looking at the Zenith Defy Midnight, the one for women, and I love the way they integrated that stainless steel bracelet. And this is a 36 millimeter, and I mean, they kind of, this is very directed towards women, obviously, because it has the diamonds on the bezel. You got the diamonds on the dials, on the dial. I'm sorry, as a markings. I think this would have been a really cool watch without all the bling, as a unisex watch.
Mm.
but I don't know. I don't know
Yeah. What are
why.
you guys' thoughts on diamonds on watches in general?
I don't like them.
It all depends. For me, I ain't a big, you know what I'm saying, bling bling, iced out. You know what I'm saying? I could deal with a few,
Yeah.
but I think at a certain point, you kind of ruin the watch, like
Hmm.
regardless if it's from the manufacturer or not.
Right.
Yeah,
But
I
I
think like
mean,
the full ice ones are a little bit over the top, but when you have ones where it's like something discreet, like just the indices or baguettes or something like that, I think when it's little touches like that, it can really set it off.
right?
Like
Yeah,
you can get the Rolex President in white gold. They have one where it has diamonds on all the indices, and it's just a little touch, but it's just that little bit of extra bling to know it's like, all right,
Mm.
it's a top dog watch.
right.
I don't like
But
it. I think it's too show offy. It's like, oh, look at me. I have diamonds on my watch, and this is. I don't like it.
I think it all has to fit the character of the watch. I mean, on something
Yeah,
like a president, it's not exactly like you're getting a president to be discreet, but even on some Pateks, like they do it really tastefully and it doesn't sort of jump out. It just adds a little bit to it. But yeah, like there's other ones where it's fully iced out, or those like diamond bezel GMTs, for example. Those I don't think it makes sense.
right.
Yeah.
Then I was watching some or reading something where somebody had like an iced out like sub, I think. Some shit. It was some iced out Rolex, and it broke, and they
How
tried
did?
to send it back to the manufacturer. Rolex wouldn't touch it
Oh, because it was probably
because,
aftermarket diamonds.
right? You know what I mean? They said, okay, you got to get rid of all that bullshit and then send it to us. But it's like at
Yeah,
that point, like, what's the point? Because I mean, you gonna pay more and getting all the diamonds and shit off and sending it. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You know.
yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I don't like it. But
So I can't find how many diamonds are on that bezel, Pete, but quite a few, I imagine.
Yeah.
It's about as good as I can do without counting.
Right.
Moving on to Hublot, they
mm,
also released a bunch of new ones. They did the Spirit of Big Bang with the Mecha 10 movement. I think that's cool. I think the Spirit of Big Bang, it looks a bit too much like a Richard Mille, so I think it's always going to sort of face that problem. But I like that at least they're putting that different movement in it. The Mecha 10 looks cool, how it's all like arrayed in sort of straight lines. It's not what you normally see in a movement, and also 10-day power reserve. Like that's
Mm.
little things like that show you that Hublot is still serious about watchmaking. They just have more fun with it, you know. And then the big highlight from them was the Big Bang Integral. I did a video just on this. I think it
right.
looks sick. Like for the longest time, I always wanted them to put the classic fusion and give that the Unico movement, because normally it just uses a Salida SW300, which for $8,000 is like not really what you want to spend on an SW300. But I think this is the closest we'll get, because they pretty much reprofiled the Big Bang case to be more similar to the classic Fusion, and that's how they got that bracelet integration. And I think it just looks sick. And it's still flyback chronograph, 72-hour power reserve. It's made in all titanium, 100-meter water resistance. So again, some of these other manufacturers better be listening and watching. Talking to you, Omega, with your 50 meters on the
Mm.
Speedmaster. Had 50 years to work with it, and they still have enough the water resistance.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Um, but yeah, that Big Bang Integral, I think, is sick. Like, I know some people say it looks too much like an AP, but I feel like Hublot, even if they take inspiration from other brands, they'll still do the stuff that those brands will never do. Like, I can't imagine AP making a full open work offshore, for example. Like, they've done it for the Royal Oak double balance wheel, but they haven't really done too much in terms of skeletonization. And the same thing with the different colors, the different materials. Like Hublot will do what they won't. So I think that definitely deserves credit. And that for me is the highlight of this LVMH Watch Week is that Hublot.
Yeah, it's nice. It's definitely nice.
Well, John Claude Beaver worked for AP, correct? I know the guy worked for everybody.
Yeah, he
Um,
started with them.
so would it be fair to say that he brought some of his design ideas over here to Hublot?
Well, he wasn't a designer at AP. He was a salesman for them. And also, like, Hublot already had its design identity sort of already ingrained. I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, it looks too much like the AP," but they forget that the original Hublot from MDM Genève, that was released in the 80s. Back then, everyone was doing that style because that was like the late 70s, early 80s. That was the style for watches. It was integrated bracelets. It was that porthole design that Gerald Genta sort of brought to the market. In the same way that like every dive watch still to some degree looks like a Submariner or a 50 Fathoms, I think it's kind of inevitable that any integrated sports watch is gonna have some of that AP DNA. It's just what they do with the rest of it that makes the difference. It's whether they do this or whether it's something like the BR05, for example, from Bell & Ross, which in my view is too derivative of the Nautilus, and they haven't really added anything new to the equation.
Yep, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit when you said BR05. Jeez. So let's talk about that. So 2020 is here. Obviously, last year was the year of sports models with blue dials. What do you guys think this year is going to be? Just chronographs, or we're going to see more integrated bracelets and a chronograph? What are you guys predicting?
I'm hoping I see more. Not necessarily as far as dials go, more red. You know what I'm saying? Dials with chronographs. Maybe even more pieces with leather straps. You know what I mean? Like, cause I'm really getting into the leather straps nowadays. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm really hoping to see this year.
Yeah, I agree that definitely like the tendency has been towards either rubber straps or full bracelets. It'd be cool to see some more leather straps, just sort of switch things up. My guess, though, is that probably we'll continue riding this wave of integrated steel sports watches or titanium sports watches in the case of the Hublot. But I think maybe when you've got, Hublot is taking it directly to the AP offshore, so they had a chronograph in it. Moser introduced a chronograph. I think those ones who haven't really taken the fight into this segment yet are going to try and at least do something different complication-wise by coming in, which is good. I mean, at least, because if you think about it, you can't really, I don't think you can get a steel version of the Nautilus chronograph anymore. So that's essentially a gap in the market for them. The VC the VC overseas chronograph is nice, but obviously it's, I think the highlight from that collection is still the three-hander. Similar thing with the Royal Oak. Like with the Royal Oak, with the standard one, the three-hander is the main star. So I think if more companies come in and innovate in terms of chronographs, at least it adds something new to the equation. It might force those companies to also relook at their chronographs, make them more interesting. But I do agree with Pete. It would be cool to see more red dials, I think. Like JLC, they did really nice sort of red burgundy dial on one of their reversal tributes, and it looks amazing. It was that one that we talked about on Christmas, remember?
Right. Uh-huh.
Actually, Teddy Baldessar featured on his channel when he showed it to Kevin O'Leary, and they both were mesmerized by that. So
yeah, because I think you're right, it's a bit too predictable, the whole sort of blue dial steel sports watch thing. So I think having some red in there, green will always be popular, I think, because of the Hulk. But I think red should hopefully be the next hit color. I think that would be cool.
Oh, yeah.
well, I guess we're going to find out real soon because Baselworld's around the corner, and maybe we'll make a podcast of our predictions for Baselworld, whoever's remaining. But speaking of the shows, it's interesting to see what LVMH did. They did their own show, and we kind of knew that was going to happen, right? Because a lot of people are pulling out of Baselworld and some other shows, so we're probably going to see more people do this.
Isn't there usually a Swiss show in January that's not going on anymore?
Right, but they watches and what is it? Watches.
Yeah, what used to be SIHH. I think they changed
Okay,
it to Watches and Wonders. But they're doing that in the same week as Baselworld, or I think like the week before or something, so that like all the watch journalists and stuff only need to go
one time.
One time.
It's called Watches in Wonderland, right? I think they rebranded it to that.
Wonders, I think it is.
Yeah.
So do y'all think LVMH filled the void for that, for this month?
I think so. I mean, they're following a similar thing to what Omega did last year with just doing their own independent release. Like, I think it's cool. I like, while on the one hand, it's nice. It was nice, like, for the one time that I was into watches and there was a Baselworld. It was cool seeing how everything happened in one go. But I think this means also we're gonna have more releases throughout the year. Adds a little bit more mystery. Hopefully, it sort of contains some of the hype, because before, from what I understand, it was pretty much once Baselworld hit, once SIHH hit, those both were in the first quarter of the year. The rest of the year is just the odd release here and there, you know. So it kind of, I think with this, I think they'll decide to distribute their releases a little bit more strategically. They'll be able to center more hype around it. I think it's cool that they're sort of decentralizing when they release new watches.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, it keeps us busy, right?
Yeah,
It keeps
exactly. It
us
gives us stuff
alive
to
with this
talk about.
podcast. Well, one of the things too, in my personal opinion, maybe I'm completely wrong, but if you think Baselworld, everybody go on YouTube and put Baselworld predictions. Everybody's Rolex, 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 and Rolex. So
I think you
I
forgot
think,
Rolex as well.
yeah, and Rolex. I forgot about that. But basically, I mean, think about it. Baselworld was all about what is Rolex coming out with, and all these companies came out with all this cool stuff, but all people could talk about was Rolex. Oh my God, they put the GMT on a Jubilee. Who would have thought? And it's like, did you realize the Octa Finissimo was over, like, or something like that? And it's like, I think companies saw that. Maybe that was a factor in it. I might be completely wrong, but I mean, people know, they can't compete with Rolex. These companies are like, they know. So maybe they figure, you know what, let's pull away from that. Let's do our own release. That way we get our own hype. We get our own people talking about us. And that's exactly what's happening. I mean, look at us. We're not even talking about Rolex. We're talking about other companies, So
Right.
I might be wrong, but I have a feeling that and that's part of it. You know what I mean? But anyways, guys, we are.
No, so valid argument, man. Valid argument.
So we're hitting the 1 hour mark here. Let's talk other things. You guys got anything to share? Anything cool for the people to
Either y'all
go
watch
check out?
Power?
Don't ruin it, please. Don't ruin it.
I'm not gonna
Yes.
ruin it.
Okay.
I'm just gonna
Yes.
say, my God, I can't wait for today's episode.
So wait, Fred. So today is the final episode?
No, not the final one. It's
Okay.
just another
Okay.
one.
Whew.
But I look forward to the
All
episode
right.
whenever it happens. Like, especially with this season, it's like you already, like, you're putting the pieces together, but it's like there's still enough mystery to want to see the next episode and be like, so what
Yeah.
happens?
So I've watched the whole thing with my wife, and we watched 2 episodes of season 6, but then I don't know what happened. I think we don't have the channel anymore. I don't know what happened, but anyways, we are waiting for the thing to finish or the final episode to air, so we could. I'm giving you a life hack here, people. You get a free 30-day trial with the Stars channel. So we're too cheap. We don't want to pay for it because we got a lot of streaming channels going on. So I'm waiting for that to air so I could get the free 30-day and we could just binge watch all the all the episodes.
Damn.
And then cancel
Wow.
it. So hey, it's a life hack, man. We got Disney Plus, we got Hulu, we got Netflix, we got our internet, we got our regular TV. And then, right now we're on the trial period for Amazon because I don't know what I did that I messed up. I bought something and I signed this up for a free month. So now we got that Amazon thing, which really sucks. I don't recommend it. It's cool to buy things for the Prime, but not for the TV. It really sucks. There might be a show or two. But that's kind of what I'm looking at on a monthly basis, all the things that I pay for. So I'm like, do I really want to pay for Stars? Another $12, $9? And I'm like, nah, let's just do... This is one of those free things, So don't call the cops on me. So
Too late now. It's out there. Shit.
crap.
Put it all out there.
Well, it's not illegal. So so Power. Okay, cool. You got my interest. I'm so dumb that in the first season of Power, I think first season, second season, I don't know if you guys remember Ghost, right? So Ghost is, for everybody listening, Ghost is like the main character, right? He's like one of the main characters. And he's fit. That guy's like super fit. And he used to run a lot. I haven't seen him work out lately, but he used to run a lot. In like the first season, they showed him running around and doing this. And I don't know if you guys remember his red sneakers?
Vaguely.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so that was one of the things that he wore. Well, dumbass Miguel, what did I do? I go out to the Nike store and buy me some all red sneakers.
Wow.
I don't know why.
Were you getting your little ghost fantasy on, thinking you're Omari Hardwood?
Hey, have you seen his watches though?
usually, like, the only watch that I recognize from when is when he wears a president.
Yeah.
Like, it's very hard to get a good like, they don't show a lot of shots of his watches, probably because there's not like any sponsorship or anything.
Well,
But
who's into watches for reals, like in real life? Tommy. Like
yeah,
I don't know his
Joseph Sikora.
I think him, and he's a graffiti artist too, which is kind of crazy because my wife's like, oh, check it out, I saw that guy. It's like, it's so weird, he's into things that you're into. I'm like, what? Like, Tommy's my boy.
So let me get this straight. One way or another, you're thinking you're either Ghosty or Tommy.
Yes. Either way, I'm in power. I'm one of the power characters. So my demise
So
is imminent.
if you had to choose between being
Ghost
or Tommy, who would you pick? I would pick Tommy.
I would pick Proctor. I love Turtle.
It was
that guy's
so
awesome.
weird.
That guy's awesome.
Weird seeing Turtle as like lawyer for this whole time.
He's such a good actor, though. I love him
I loved Entourage. I watched it from the very beginning.
Me too.
So many times over and over. I couldn't stop seeing Turtle. Like, he's a
Me
victim
too.
of his own success.
And it's so awesome that he lost so much weight and he looks like so much better. And he rocks the Submariner. That guy's a watch guy too. So in the show, he's rocking the Submariner, and he has a pair of J's. Like in every show, he has like different kinds, and it just kind of goes with my style. I'm like, dang it, I should be a part of Power, minus all the drugs and the violence. So what about you, P? What's going on?
Well, this week was a great week, but they released the trailer for the final season of Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Oh God, here we go again.
Which will be coming out on Disney Plus next month. You know what I mean?
Should add an affiliate link for Disney Plus. They should pay us for this.
Yeah, for sure. And it looked to be a screamer.
For that matter.
And I don't know if they gonna with Revenge of the Sith. It seemed like they have incorporated a lot of that into this last season. I don't know if it'll be like how the whole film was, but from the trailer preview, it's kind of like there was some things that was like brought up that was in Revenge of the Sith. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Did you notice though they created a little bit of a continuity issue for themselves because they showed Anakin on hologram with Padme, and she was clearly pretty pregnant. But you found out about that in Revenge of the Sith.
Right.
So, either they got some episodes that are set somehow happening at the same time as Revenge of the Sith, or they might have to review that continuity a little bit. But I'm excited for it. I love the Clone Wars. I think that's such an underrated show.
Right. So I'm hoping. I've been watching. I started on season 1 about a week ago. So I'm through season 2. So I'm hoping that I get through all 5 seasons again before. All 6 seasons before the 7th one come out. So
that should be good. I'm looking forward to that.
The only thing I like about Star Wars is Baby Yoda, and I haven't even seen that show. I just keep seeing his memes everywhere.
the Mandalorian off the hook.
I gotta check it out.
Off the hook.
I'll check that out.
Yeah.
The good thing about the Mandalorian is you don't really need to have seen any of the other Star Wars movies to enjoy it.
Right.
Even though it's in the same world, it's like you don't need to have too much background to enjoy it. It's still a cool show.
Right.
I'll check it out just for Baby Yoda. See what the hype is about.
Well, spoiler alert: he's in the show.
Baby, and just something else. Build-A-Bear will be getting the Baby Yoda this spring.
Are you gonna get it, P?
So,
are you gonna sleep with it?
Yes, I am getting Baby Yoda. I got to get Baby Yoda. I got to get Baby Yoda. Yes,
that's funny. Well, one of the movies that really, really surprised me, and I haven't seen a good movie like this in such a long time, was Marriage Story. So that's on Netflix. So if you haven't checked it out, God. It stars Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver, the guy from Star Wars.
Kylo Ren.
Such a good movie. So I kept hearing about this movie, and I saw the thumbnails when scrolling through Netflix, and I was like, "What is that Marriage Story?" It looks so boring. But once I started hearing Oscar nominations for both the leading actors and for best screenplay, and I'm like, all right, I'll check it out. So I told my wife, she's like, yeah, well, let's check it out. I like Scarlett Johansson, God, man, for both of you guys, I know Fred, you're not married, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it just takes you through this journey that you're like, crap, everything you're seeing on screen, you're like, that's so true what you go through in a marriage. So I'll just put it this way. Being married or being in a relationship and living with somebody is not easy. We could all agree with that. It's very, very difficult for many different reasons, right? As human beings, we're different people. We hardly even know ourselves a lot of times, or at least that's how I feel, right? A lot of times I don't even understand myself. So to be able to understand somebody else and of the opposite sex is very difficult, you know. And same thing for my wife. So this movie really takes you through that journey, and it's crazy because they have a little boy, and it just kind of goes to show that when you go through a divorce, how difficult it could be on everything and everybody, and how expensive it is. And you realize like how you as human beings interact a certain way, but once you get lawyers involved, they completely change the dialogue and completely change people's perspective on you, and they want to make you look like a bad person for the advantage or the end result of winning money and winning custody. And it's crazy. It's like, man, this is so sad. And it really struck a chord with me because my parents got divorced when I was young. So I was like, man, is that how it was for us? Because I do remember being very traumatic. I mean, I was 6 years old. Parents got divorced. My mom went through this huge depression. She basically sold everything after the divorce. She got my sister, 6 years older than me, got myself, and we moved to Mexico City. I didn't even ask us. Didn't we just moved to Mexico City? So it was very traumatic for us. We didn't see my dad for years and years. Didn't really speak to him, and it's weird when you think, how does a person like this? They have so much against each other. At one point they loved each other, right? But now they have so much against each other. They're just trying to hurt each other, and it's just. It was a good film. I mean, ending kind of sucked, but the whole overall movie was really, really good because it really struck a chord with me, and I was like, all right, I gotta talk about it. I gotta recommend it. You haven't checked it out? It's on Netflix. So
Yeah, no, it's a really good movie.
oh, you
And
saw
like,
it?
yeah,
You should have
I saw
said
it a while
something,
back.
Fred. Back me up here.
Well, you were busy laying out the entire plot.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
But yeah, no, I saw it a while back. It was really cool. Like it was confusing. I didn't really get the movie until the movie ended. But because like it just what I liked of it is just it sort of it goes in the opposite direction of what you would expect. You know, like it's not like an action-packed movie or nothing like that, but instead
No,
it's like it
no.
still surprises you as the plot goes on because you're expecting one thing to happen and then something else happens, and just the way that it's they approach looking at a marriage from the perspective of a divorce, which is something I don't think anyone's done. It's always like the typical love story, everything's all good, but this I think it just revealed, I guess like Miguel said, a completely different perspective and something I think shed light on a certain aspect of both a marriage, a divorce, and a relationship that not a lot of other movies have.
Mm.
Yeah, I
And
think
great
it was really
performances
good.
as well.
And the performances, man. I mean, Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver. There was a scene when they're just in the room by themselves, and I mean, you're like, crap. These guys are A+ actors. In my book, I'm like, damn, they're so good.
Yeah.
I have to check that out.
No, I recommend it, man, and it's something I think your wife would really enjoy too, because it's not a romance. It's just real life. It's a really good movie. So. So yeah, go check it out. It's a little long, 2 hours and 17 minutes, but I mean it's on Netflix, so you could check out maybe an hour. That's what we did because we have little boys. I mean, we check out an hour, sometimes 15 minutes, and then he'll wake up or come into the room. It's like, all right, just pause it because they do curse a lot and stuff like that. So we don't
Right.
we don't put stuff like that. But that's what we don't bring P around the house because he curses a lot. So. And Fred too, Fred too. Even though they're in India and Ohio, we just don't bring them around the house because yeah.
Oh man. Oh wow.
But anyway, so that's pretty much it. I think we covered a lot of things, guys. You anything else?
I think we pretty much
That's
covered
it.
everything. Yeah.
Sounds
Absolutely.
sounds good.
For
Well,
once we I think we actually finished on time.
well, Fred, thank you so much for joining the team. This is super cool. Like I said, we wanted to bring you on board because the three amigos, and we get along with you so well, and also just man, you bring so much to the table, and so it's diverse now. We can talk about lower end, higher end, different perspectives. We all live in different countries, so we could bring so much to the table. So So yeah, guys, stick around. We have a lot of guests lined up for this year. Super excited. We're partnering up with brands too, which is exciting, and we're doing different things, big things this year. So, Fred, where can they find you?
You can find me at Shaluso on everything, pretty much. Facebook /Shaluso, Instagram @Shaluso, and Shaluso on YouTube as well. SHAH space LUSSO. Shaluso, just how it sounds. Check it all out. And where can they find my fellow co-hosts?
Ross Wristwatch Love everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Get into it. Get involved.
Sounds good. And just to let you know, everybody listening, so Fred and I, obviously, we speak Spanish, and we in our channels, actually, Fred and his channel, it's a bilingual channel, so both English, Spanish. So if you have any friends that are into the watch world and maybe don't speak a lot of English or whatever, just recommend them. Today go check this guy out. And then for me, I have a completely separate channel just because I didn't want to mix the two. And the reason why is because, like Fred does it, every time he puts a video in English, he's kind of forced to do one in Spanish, and I don't want to feel that kind of pressure on myself because sometimes I'm lazy. So, so I have my SoCal Watch Reviews YouTube channel, and you can find me on Instagram as well, SoCal Watch Reviews on Instagram, and of course the podcast. But relojeando, and I'll leave it in the description. Relojeando basically means. What does it mean, Fred? Messing around with watches, relojeando.
Yeah, like it's kind of like a mix of like relajando, which is relaxing in Spanish, and reloj, which is watch. It's like a cool little combination.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it's a cool take. And yeah, there's definitely not enough good Spanish channels out there. So
Well, you know what? I'm actually working on my Spanish right now so I can be inaugurated into, you know what
Yes.
I'm saying, to be an official, you know what I'm saying, member of the Hispanic/Spanish community. You know what I
we can
mean?
finally
So,
start doing this podcast in
right,
Spanish.
Yes.
you know what I mean? Then, you know what I'm saying, maybe about 4-5 years from now, I'll be ready to start my Spanish channel.
Sounds
But real
good.
talk, if you like watches and want to learn about watch and want to learn Spanish, it's also a great way. Like in
Yeah.
my case, like because both videos are like pretty much the same, so
True. Yeah.
it's a good way if you want to brush up on your Spanish and you're into watches. Like I know that's much better than doing like boring ass language exercises they normally make you do in Spanish class or online courses and stuff like that.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
to everybody listening, it's like so difficult. Like seriously, even though we both speak Spanish fluently, when you speak watch terms, it's so different because I mean you don't speak watch terms with your parents or on your daily life, so it's a lot of things that you're like, all right, I need to really learn this, and a lot of the terms are very difficult, especially for me. I mean, in English I can knock out a video pretty quick, but in Spanish it takes me just twice as long, even though I already have the footage. Just putting that voiceover over my video takes so long. But yeah, guys, go check it out. Like I said, 2020 is going to be a big year. Please comment on this podcast. It really helps. We got more listeners. We got everywhere. If you see the people that listen to us, it's just worldwide. So it's super exciting to know that people from all over are listening to this podcast. So if you're in your car, you're in your house, you're in the toilet, thank you so much for listening. We do appreciate it. And from three of us, all three of us, thank you so much. And remember, stay humble, guys. Thanks.
Peace.
Peace.